Hello, this is Joshua for Frost Dragon Designs, and today I would like to talk to you about my delivery raven, hard enamel pin. So, a few months ago, when I was doing my mashup pins with the possum for the pizza possum and the travel possum, I had one more mashup idea cross through my mind, and I just thought to myself, I have to do this. So back a few years ago, back in 2018, I had done a pin mail pin. I loved it. I only had 100 produced. It sold out real quick, but my preferred manufacturer decided that they weren't going to be doing black nickel polish anymore. So I didn't have any more of these made. I was thinking about this pin as I was also looking at my limited edition Raven Shiny Finder pin that I did earlier this year, and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be funny if I had that raven carrying a little package? I thought that's a great idea. So I did it. So let's get into the design. So if you've ever ordered a pin from me, you likely received something that looks very similar to this. This is a bubble mailer with a first class USPS shipping label on it. And there's the Raven Shiny Finder. First thing I did with this was I just started removing all the stuff that wasn't what I needed, which was, the fire, the sword, the purple feathers, anything that made it something other than just a regular raven. And then I just kind of shrunk it down a little bit because, as I said, I didn't want this to be a huge pin because while I like big pins, they're sometimes awkward to wear and they are more expensive to produce. So I made it a size that I thought would be a reasonable size for someone to actually wear out and about. I specifically had my postal carrier in mind when I was working on this because, if they happened to like it and wanted to wear it, that would be great. I like to leave gifts for my postal carriers around Christmas time. I actually just took a handful of these in my pockets when I went to the post office most recently and just handed them out to random postal workers I found who were loading their trucks around back. I sometimes, if I have a lot of orders to drop off, I have to drop off at the dock instead of going into the lobby, just because they said it would be less disruptive that way. So that's fine. And so they all seem to really enjoy this design, and I liked it as well. The other reason that I kind of had this idea was because I also was working on a pin for my pin club next year that has a small USPS package like this, a little bubble mailer with a first class label on it. And that's for my pin club and that's for next year, but I kind of wanted to know ahead of time, will my manufacturer be able to produce something with screen printing that small for the label? I didn't want to do the label as gold metal because I didn't think that would look very good. But I've done a few designs that had screen printing on them with some level of detail, and they looked pretty good. But this shipping label is really on another level of detail. I mean, it's very small. I think when I asked what the smallest line they could screen print was, my production partner told me that 0.2 millimeters was the smallest line that they would be able to produce through screen printing. And that's tiny. That's real tiny. And what's funny is when I got these pins in person and I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so small. I actually, I have poor eyesight, so I actually used my phone like a magnifying glass. I zoomed in real close to look at it. And sure enough, it is an immaculately printed tiny label. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And everyone who has seen one of these or bought one or been given one, I get lots of comments about, that's amazing. How did you get that so small? And yes, I designed it that small, but I mean, big props to my production partner for actually being able to produce it. I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure that they would be able to. I mean, because it's tiny. I think at the end of this video, I'm going to try and put a little video of me holding one of these next to a coin or something so you can understand just how small the printing on that package is, because I feel like you need to compare it to something to really appreciate it unless you actually have one and can look at it and understand the size. And so the other reason that I really just enjoy this pin, though, is because I like Ravens. I'm from Baltimore, so yes, there's the Baltimore Ravens football team. But when I was a kid, there was an injured raven. I don't know if it was really injured. So my dog had, gotten a hold of this bird. So I don't know if it was injured or just terribly frightened and wet with dog slobber. But I rescued this bird from my dog as a kid. I think I was maybe 11 or 12 at the time. And so, after getting the bird away from the dog, I went and sat in a different part of my yard with the bird on a little park bench kind of thing. And that bird, he dried off and whatnot, and he eventually flew off. I went out the next day, and he was sitting there waiting for me. And so I had this kind of fun relationship with this bird for a couple weeks before he, just flew off and never came back. But that kind of left a big impression on me, and I really love ravens and raven imagery as a result of that. It was probably the closest I will ever get to a bird in nature again, just because, birds fly away. They don't like to come close to people, but I guess he was just kind of thanking me for, saving the day there. So, ravens have a special place in my heart. USPS bubble mailers have a special place in my heart now because I deal with them so frequently. And I just thought this would be a fun pin. So I hope you enjoy this pin as much as I do. It brings me a lot of joy to see it. And, that's so much the point of all of this, right? Spreading joy, spreading magic, and, getting creativity out there. Thank you so much. If you liked this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. I plan on doing a new video each time I release a new pin. And I'll see you in the next one. That is a tiny, tiny shipping label. I love it.